Right. So it's now a thing where every match involves Chelsea. There has to be a red card. There definitely has to be a red card. Now, fortunately, this one was not on our side. We didn't get booked a red card today because it's been a thing. So we literally just broke the streak. Yeah, it's not good. You're not supposed to block the. I mean, sorry, to break the streak, right? But yeah, fortunately today we didn't get a red card, but there was definitely a red card within the match. Now, I could have made a video at halftime pretending we've won the game because at that point I felt we had already won the game and the red card didn't help them either. Now, I understand that they got a red card and it definitely did not help them. But Ajax they're not good. Ajax is not the team that I thought I knew. That I didn't recognize Ajax today. We already know that Ajax is one of their best in their league, right? But coming into the Champions League, it's not the team that I expected. Actually, the only player that I knew today was Weghorst or maybe Makone or another one or two players. But I couldn't recognize Ajax. Maybe I should start watching more teams out of the Premier League, apart from the La Liga, Premier League, and obviously the Bundesliga. Maybe I should watch more, Serie A and stuff. But yeah, Ajax were just not good today. I don't think. Let me say this: I'm obviously happy with the result, because I wanted us to win, because a win is always better. However, there's nothing special that we did today to get this win. There's actually nothing special. I know they got a red card, but even when they were 11 men, I know it was just like about 15, 16 minutes, but they are not good. They're not good. So, and let me say this again. I know Chelsea rested players, the likes of Pedro Neto didn't start, the likes of, Reece James, and we played Jurgensen today instead of Sanchez, and Chalobah came out of the bench as well. So, I'm expecting Chelsea to have won the match, which we did, but we didn't do anything more than special. It didn't feel like a Champions League game. There was no competition within this. It wasn't as competitive as I expected it to be. I think the game against Benfica was actually more competitive than this game. Now, first half, obviously, we got a goal from McGee. I'm happy for him. That's for sure. I like my boy. Listen, with McGee, right? He might not score you as many goals, but you already know the type of player he is. He's going to be a nuisance to the defenders. He's always going to be tagged in within the center backs of the opposition team. And when you need a 9 to be in a position where he's supposed to be, Gil is always there. Now, again, he might not score goals, but he's always in his right position as a 9 within his opponent's defenders. Now, that's where you can see the difference between players like João Pedro and when you play Gil as a 9. When you play João Pedro as a 9, you're limiting so much to his game because João Pedro is actually better when you play him deeper. I say this to say I need Delep to come ASAP. Or if Delep is not here, the next Premier League games, let's use at least Tariq George or McGee as a number 9 and actually give João Pedro more responsibility within the number 10 role. He can swerve to go to the wings, whatever he wanted to do. But as a 9, yes, he is clinical, but the amount of chances you'll get as a 9 or the amount of chances you'll miss being played as a 9 because he's sometimes dropping deep, it doesn't help us in the long run. So yeah, hopefully Delep will come back soon. So McGee got his goal. From that point on, then who scored? Caicedo scored. Listen, let me say this about Caicedo because I'm sick and tired of the haters talking about Caicedo. Yes, of course, the goal was a deflection, but either way, the shot had to be good for the deflection to actually end up going in. Now, if this was any other player that you rate, maybe a striker, maybe a Declan Rice, maybe another attacking player in any position, whatever it is, number 10, number 9, Cole Palmer, you would give them props for that goal. But because it's Caicedo, and you don't want to give him the credit that he deserves, you want to give credit to other players that are not even as close to Caicedo. I'm not going to mention any names, but it's time to give this guy his credit. Seriously, we need to talk about Caicedo. Actually, no, we don't need to, because I'm sick and tired of saying the same thing. This guy is the best. And I'll be honest with you, if Caicedo was playing for any other team, I would have still said the same thing. If he was playing for any other team and still putting up these numbers and all these good performances, I would still give him his props. The problem that we have is we have the English media that is so loud, and they don't want to recognize any other player that is not English player, that are non-English players, right? Non-English. You talk about, I know. Listen, I'm not saying that the media is wrong for giving credit to Declan Rice. Yeah, he's a good player. However, I just think that there are other good players like the Tonales, the Gimenez, just because they're not English, they don't get as much credit as these English players do get. But anyway, it's okay. So we got our goal. Obviously, we considered the penalty. I don't know what Tosin was doing today, and I'm glad that he got hooked off at halftime, because today I don't know the hell he was doing. I know he just came off injury and all that. We gotta give him time to kind of adjust to his level of performance. But today it didn't look good. It didn't look good for Tosin. He did so many things wrong than he did right. However, the score there, their penalty, I thought, Jurgensen could have saved that penalty. And then we went on to score a penalty from Enzo Fernandez. I thought that was a penalty, in my opinion, and a good penalty as well. Now, from that point on, we were now sharing goals. And that's when I say the game was over. Estevao, what a player, man. His penalty, you're not saving that. Like, you're just not saving that. So at that point on, the game was already over at first half. Second half, yeah, we had to take our best players out. Enzo was out because he's coming from injury. Caicedo, we have to protect him, like the coach always say. We need him for the next couple of games, which are not going to be as difficult on paper. However, we still need to rest him, because at that point, like I said many times, the game was already gone. So instead of hooking up our players, taking off Lavia, we're taking off Guiu, we're taking off Caicedo. At that point on, I'm just sitting there, just cruising. That's why I said I could have made this video at halftime and be like, Chelsea won. I wouldn't have known how much we're going to win with. But it was always going to be a win from that point on. So, yeah, man, I'm glad for the team. Talking about the substitute, Tariq George, I love the kid. He came on, he did well. Santos, Chaloba, Achempong, Reggie Walsh. Listen, today, I think the only player that I wasn't fully happy with or impressed with was Gittens. Listen, he does certain things right. He does certain things wrong. He's obviously adjusting to the league, I don't like to give excuses to the players, because if you're a professional footballer, I should see more. However, when he was playing at Dortmund, he wasn't playing at a higher level as well, because there was a time, I think, second half of the season in Bundesliga, he was not being played. So I'm not really expecting him to be on the rush. And also at the same time, we have so many good players. Sometimes we play Garnacho, sometimes we play Tariq George, and sometimes we even play Neto on that side. And sometimes, we rotate so many players and he doesn't get enough game time. But today I expected him, or, I was hoping that he would get a goal. This was a good game for him to get a goal, and maybe hopefully from there he would pick up, or maybe the game against Sunderland. But in one of these games, he has to get his goal or an assist. Now, that's not the most important thing I look at in a player. But if you're an attacking player, at least give us some sort of statistics that will help the team. I'm not saying he doesn't do things right, but it always feels good, I think, even for the players to get their goals and assists, because, that's how they kind of boost up their morale and maybe perform well. But before I end this video, I want to talk about Buenanote, if I'm pronouncing his name right. This guy, when we signed him, I was watching some of his clips, and I was obviously impressed. And looking at him right now playing, some minutes. Today, I think he played 90 minutes. Looking at him playing the way he does play, it kind of gives me the vibes of, Cole Palmer, Estevao. Now, I'm not saying they are on the same level. Cole Palmer, obviously, Cole Palmer has done it and proven it that, he's Cole Palmer. But it's one of those players that they're able to dribble past players. They've got that flair, they give you something you don't always see on the pitch. And I'm happy for them, man. I do think that, going forward, if we can keep our players, safe from injury, we have a good squad to compete. Now, I'm not going to get over my head just because we played Ajax, but there are a lot of good things I'm seeing. And I have to give credit where it's due. And I think Buenanote, Esteval, they played really well today. And I was impressed. Listen, there isn't much to talk about in this video other than just celebrating this win, because we do need to pick up these wins. And I think this is what, our third or fourth wins in a row. We're moving on to Sunderland. I'm pretty sure win that game, and then maybe we'll go to, is it Wolverhampton in the Carabao Cup? I'm expecting a win on that one as well, and I'm also expecting a lot of rotation and resting players like the Caicedos, the Enzos. Play them first half, let them seal the game, and then you can start playing the Reg Walshes, the Esteval, the Gittins, Jero Hato. Give them time. Rest Cucurella, rest Chris James, rest Caicedo, rest Enzo Fernandez. These guys are capable of winning games against Ajax, against Sunderland, against Wolverhampton. Again, this is on paper, so we have to wait and see. But I do believe that rotation is going to be the key in this season if we want to keep our players safe. Now, make sure you do subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.